what is the difference between classical NLP and transformational NLP?
Classical NLP or conventional NLP, as we think about it, is it's very much the original from which is brought to life by some really remarkable people in the middle 1970s, moving up into the very early 1980s, and then conventional NLP began to gradually through the 80s, it turned into coaching. And then into the 90s, it turned into a toolbox for picking up people in bars. In other words, this beautiful thing that got kind of flattened out in the 80s when it was just about coaching, not change work, but sort of giving advice kind of format. And then in the 90s with all of that speed seduction stuff, if you're old enough to know about that time, it was pretty awful, at least from our perspective, it was pretty awful. But the stuff from the 70s is just beautiful. And one other thing about conventional NLP, as it kind of morphed through the 80s and into the 90s, it began to be less and less and less about personal change and personal growth and creating contexts in which belonging was easier for everyone involved. Excuse me. And it began to be about persuasion, powerful tools for persuading people to think anything you want them to think. I'm overstating that. That was rude, but not too far off. Transformational NLP is not about persuasion. It's about revision, respect for, discovering the nature of, and then respecting the programming, the patterning. That's why the word programming is in the name neuro-linguistic programming. It sounds awfully nerdy, but human beings are programmable creatures like all creatures. It's about uncovering and respecting and revising that patterning in order to gradually open ourselves up to making it easier and easier and easier for the universe to deliver what we want. That's one way to say it. Another way to say it is to make it easier and easier and easier to adjust the patterning so that there's not nearly as much of a gap between what we're experiencing now that we don't want and what we would like to be experiencing over here. We get that narrowed way, way down, and then we have some ways of just making it possible that they go. And then what we're experiencing turns, what we're naturally experiencing that we don't want, unfolds itself into the experience of what we do want. And the key thing about that is we do not have to remember to be different any more than whatever patterns I'm using to talk right now. I'm not trying to remember how to do anything. I'm just talking because I've been talking for a long time, my whole life, right? So the point of really good NLP change work is to have the experience you want without having to work hard or remember to be different. Not working hard seems un-American.